You have to say that every time now.
I do.
Can't get off, Dave. Yeah. Now you're thinking, aren't you?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering where everybody's at.
We're ready? Okay. I'll call our meeting in order. Please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday, July 10th regular commission meeting. I'll open our meeting with public comment on any subject that's not on the agenda within the commissioner's jurisdiction. Is there any public comment? Brittany.
Good morning. All right, so just a little update on the Horse Gulch fire. Because it is so close to the Broadwater County line, I did talk to Kyle, DES, up there in Lewis and Clark County. And as of 8:40 this morning, it had grown to 200 acres. The wind picked up last night and spread it, but today, this afternoon, they expect it to grow a little bit more because of the wind. There is a Type 3 team on the way, so there will be an incident management team either, if they're not already here, but soon. It is on Forest Service property, so they have the fire. It was human caused. It is 5 miles south of York and 2 miles north of Canyon Ferry. So
Okay.
They will keep us updated.
All right. Which way does it seem to be moving?
Well, it shifted directions last night and then shifted again this morning.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's not a clear direction yet.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. I think, I guess it's that time of year, right? So.
I think we've been lucky to have it gone this long, actually.
Well, and because it is so close to our county line, I will be posting the updates as they get them out.
All right,
So.
perfect. That's good. You're working with Kyle. You know, we know Kyle. He worked with us a lot on other
He
projects.
did tell me to let you guys know, not to stress about it yet.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Where will you post? Where will you post
on
updates?
my Broadwater County Disaster and Emergency Services Facebook page.
Okay. Thank you.
So.
Perfect.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Brittany.
Brittany.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
We'll follow up with that. Brandon's headed up there to a meeting right now.
Okay.
Starts at 11 at the Forest Service building in Helen. So he's going to go up there. He talked to Sheriff Dutton. He wasn't too concerned right now with it coming into Broadwater County because there's like 2 or 3 pretty big draws it's got to get to. But once we find out kind of more, we might send a deputy up Magpie just to make sure that any of those cabins, if anyone's there, they kind of know. But we'll see. So
Perfect.
there wasn't.
Thank you.
Didn't sound like they were like real concerned with it heading this way quite yet, but obviously has the potential with the wind and the obviously 95 or whatever it's going to be today. So
Yeah.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. All right. Good. Any other public comment?
I just have one. We have an opening on the Parks and Rec Board if anybody is interested in joining that board.
Okay. Good. Anything else? No? Okay. We'll move on to our first agenda item. Discussion decision, Public Works Director T.J. Gravely's second reading of the Mill Street speed limit ordinance in Raidersburg.
Good morning, Commissioners. T.J. Gravely, Public Works Director. So on this Mill Street speed limit reduction, I received a petition on June 6th from several property owners in Broadwater County that met the requirements for the petition. It's been verified by our clerk and recorder, and the road in question right now is Mill Street, which is west of Raidersburg, and through observation of the traffic on the road and the traffic counter that was actually out there, It actually dictated that the speed is above the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit that is on there. So this is basically right in the town of Radersburg, going up to the motorcycle range, riding range. When the petition come in, I think we felt that there was a need, so when we started investigating, seeing the traffic numbers, seeing the speed, when it was brought to me, I had asked Deputy County Attorney Kayla Miner to help me write this ordinance, and I will read it to you guys and then ask for questions.
Okay, thank you.
This is an ordinance to establish a speed limit on Mill Street, County Road located west of Highway 285 in Radersburg, Broadwater County, Montana, and to provide penalties for violation thereof. Whereas the Broadwater County Commission has received a request by petition to create a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit set on Mill Street, whereas the current speed reduction or restriction on Mill Street is 35 miles an hour. Whereas Montana Code Annotated MCA 714-2113 grants the Board of County Commissioners the authority to establish a special speed limit by ordinance in accordance with MCA 61-8-310 on any county road. Whereas MCA 61-8-310 allows that if a local authority determines that the speed permitted under the Montana Code 61-8-303 is greater than the reasonable and safe under the conditions found to exist on the highway, a local authority may set a reasonable and safe limit that decreases the speed limit. Whereas MCA 61-8-310 allows the local authority to set the reasonable and safe speed limit that decreases the limit outside the urban area to not less than 25 miles an hour on an unpaved road. Whereas Mill Street is an unpaved county road that is outside the urban district, and whereas the Broadwater County Road Department's analysis indicates that the current speed limit of 35 miles an hour is unreasonable and unsafe from 285 to the intersection of Keating Gulch Road, where a 25 mile an hour speed limit from Highway 285 to the intersection of Keating Gulch Road would be reasonable and safe under conditions found. Now, therefore, it be ordained that the Board of County Commissioners of Broadwater County, Montana, that the speed limit ordinance on Mill Street be enacted as follows. Section 1, speed limit established. A regulatory speed limit of 25 miles an hour shall be established for Mill Street from Highway 285 to the intersection of Keating Gulch Road. Section 2, posting. Upon receiving notice of the regulatory speed limit established by the ordinance, and after the passage of at least 30 days from the date of the ordinance is adopted, the Road and Bridge Department shall erect the appropriate signs giving drivers notice of the regulatory speed limit established by this ordinance. Penalty for the violation of the ordinance or any provision thereof shall be enforced according to Title 61, Chapter 10 of the MCA and the Broadwater County Code, if such is in effect at the time of the violation, and any other applicable state and local laws. Servability. Any part of the ordinance is held to be invalid, such as invalidity shall not affect other parts, which can be given effect without any invalid part. To the end, provisions of this ordinance are to be servable. Duration. The ordinance shall remain in effect until repealed or suspended by other legislative or judicial action. Section 6 is codification. If Broadwater County adopts as a Broadwater County code the speed limit described in the ordinance shall be listed, referring to the purpose of the findings of this ordinance. Do you guys have any questions on any of this as far as when we're gonna do it, if we're gonna do it, what are the expectations? I can give you my expectations without you guys asking. With Deputy or Sheriff Rouser sitting here, I can post all of Broadwater County with whatever you ask me to put up. But without any public presence of the sheriff's office, I don't know that it will do any good. We can post it. The signs cost me, my department, about $75. I do not have a problem doing this, so you're looking at 30 days from today, you're looking at mid-August right now, if you guys so act on this.
Yeah.
I do believe that there is a lot of dust up there because of the dirt bikes and the four-wheelers, and I understand the citizens' concerns.
And maybe that's something we can do to help them with some dust control there as well. And I think we all understand that, you know, just because we post road doesn't mean that people are gonna obey that speed limit. That's just human nature, so. But it does provide some other legal, means for if something does happen on that road. But there is an established posted speed limit, and so there's some things for people to work off from there, so.
I do think the
that's-
radar sign, when it was out in that area, actually, I thought it actually worked pretty well because it draws your attention when the red and blues come on.
Yeah.
It will make you hit your brakes. It doesn't matter
I talked
if you're
to
speeding or not.
yeah, several of the residents up there, and they were very appreciative of having it there and said that it did slow the traffic down. So it does work. Okay. I don't have any other questions or comments.
I just have a quick comment. I think in this case, due to the high, I don't know about high traffic, but the use of that road for motorcycles and ATVs and side-by-sides and et cetera, it's a great idea to lower it because there's not just cars and trucks going up there.
Yep.
That's all I have.
All right. If there's no other comments, is there a motion to adopt?
I'll move to approve the ordinance to establish a speed limit on Mill Street, County Road, located west of Highway 285 in Radersburg, Broadwater County, Montana, and to provide penalties for violations thereof.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to adopt ordinance to establish a speed limit on Mill Street, County Road, located west of Highway 287 in Radersburg, Broadwater County, Montana, and to provide penalties for violation thereof. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Two places. And here too. All right, we'll get that to Angie to a test and then get it taken care of.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, let's see. Next, I guess you're still on the bubble there, TJ. Discussion, decision closing walk-in can and solid waste, at all solid waste sites. I know we had this discussion last night at the solid waste board meeting, so your continuation of that.
Sure. So, you guys are going to hear a lot of what I said last night. But to start with, one of the things when I was hired as a public works director, my job was to make the best use of the county's money to turn a program around. Was basically the way I looked at it when I was hired. When people do the wrong thing, as far as, go ahead and hit play on this. When people do the wrong thing, this is what happens. The 1%ers, and I'm going to say that might be a high number, maybe 0.5% of the people that are doing this are ruining it for the other 99.5% of the county. I don't feel that it is right that my crews have to spend extra time cleaning up these sites because people don't do the right thing. I've been told, it has been brought to my attention that if I close the walk-in sites or we decide to close the walk-in site, they're just going to throw it on the ground. What are they doing right now? They're doing exactly what they want. I just don't think that the people of Broadwater County are being treated fairly in one aspect, but if you don't reprimand the people that are doing this, the whole county is going to suffer one way or another. So on March 12th of this year, I stated, one way we can make up for the shortfalls of the solid waste would be to close all the walk-in can sites. And by that, I'm not closing the site itself. I'm closing access to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we can put those cans, the 5 cans that we do have, back into the rental fleet, which we have none right now that aren't spoken for. That was the intention before I came here, is to use those as rentals. And the previous commission made concessions to make this all work. This is one of the things that they decided to do. But when we built this budget this year, we had talked about this the whole time as far as closing the walk-in cans to make it work. Why was that? Well, there was about $50-some thousand, and I'll give you some numbers here in just a minute. In the solid waste, $51,000, $55,000 doesn't sound like a lot of money. To me, it sounds like a heck of a pile of money, because as an enterprise fund, you're supposed to be self-sustaining. And we're doing the best we can with what we have to work with. So what do? We're going to try to cut costs. When I have a driver that puts on 480 or 458.4 miles a week just for the walk-in cans at $3, $4 a gallon, that's $23,377. Okay, just his wages during that period of time comes up to $27,580. That's just for the walk-in cans. That's not hauling the actual 40-yard cans. So that's $51,357.80. When we closed, we had this same problem in Winston. October of last year, we had several public meetings, and we weren't sure that it was going to work of closing the walk-in cans. That's kind of a unique situation up there, how it was set back in the trees. There was kind of a big turnaround, nobody could see in there. And my comment was, we move the gate up to the road, we do away with the walk-in cans, it'll solve the problem. That one, it did. What we're seeing coming into our walk-in cans right now is construction waste, furniture, freezers, AC units, tires. It's all things that we voted on to have a fee for. I figure that we're probably losing out on $500 a week, probably between all the sites, which doesn't sound like that much between 5 sites, but at $500 a week times 52 weeks adds up pretty quick. One of the things that we're seeing a lot of is oil being dumped in there, in buckets, and I think there was a picture just a second ago, that would actually come out of the city truck. And when he pulled forward, he hit it, and it just scattered over the whole floor. Same with paint. I don't have a way to take oil, nor do I really want to have to deal with the DEQ side of that. I will take your paint if you turn it into a solid and you dispose of it in the proper ways. So some other numbers that I had for you guys. At the Winston site, from May of 23 to October of 23 when it was closed, my truck driver was making 11.8 trips a month. Okay. In November of 23 to April of 24, that number went down to 7.6. Why did that happen? Did it happen because we closed the walking can and moved the gate up to the road? Possibly. Did it happen because of the time of the year where we weren't getting the recreational vehicles being able to come in there? I think that might have had something to do with it. It's not a huge number that saved, but it's saving. It was 20 ton a year, or 20 ton in 6 months is what that saved. So even $580 is still $580 that we're trying to save. That covers the guy's wages there that's working there. In May, so from May of 24 to June of 24, we averaged 7.5 trips. So you kind of see a trend that's staying pretty close to what it was when we closed it. So if you guys choose to close the walk-in sites, and this will be a decision that you guys can make, that actually can spread out about $14,000 per site. With that being said, you have the option of giving more hours or more days. Cedar Street wouldn't be more days, it would probably be more hours. I would like to be able to keep Monday for our site to be able to be cleaned up and get caught up, from the long weekends. Winston already has 4 days up there. They have Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Towson Raidersburg has Thursday, Saturday at one, and Friday, Sunday at the other. So they're basically getting 4 days in a consolidated area within 10 miles. The one that probably would need to be looked at is probably Dry Gulch. They have Friday, Saturday from 9 to 3 both days, or Saturday, Sunday from 9 to 3. That might be one that we could look at if you guys decide to go in that direction. I really hope, there's been a lot of scuttle that I was closing all the sites. There was, you're going to just get garbage thrown in the weeds, in the ditches. You start throwing it in the ditches, it becomes a state issue. That's a $1,000 fine. You do it on county property, it's a $500 fine. I think it takes one person to get fined out of this deal. And word will get out that we're not messing around. We want you to clean up after yourself. And we want you to do the right thing. Yes, I understand that we work for you, but you still have to do the right thing. Question, comments?
Yeah, I guess I sat down and I put together some thoughts. We've discussed this and other issues quite a few times. And I think part of it is that maybe a lot of our residents aren't aware of the challenges we face in trying to, provide a good service with our solid waste department. And, so trying to come up with options that ensure that our citizens or even those who are just using the system are using it properly. And, one of the things is, folks from outside our district using the walk-ins, which means that we, as the rest of the residents, are paying to dispose of their trash.
They get a free ride.
Yeah, I don't think that is equitable or fair. And then there's the folks that abuse the privilege of the walk-in system. So dumping their trash outside the gate. As you've discovered, for whatever reason, Dry Gulch has now become the new Winston, right, so to
Yes.
speak. A lot of construction debris and things in there that should not be there, but they're carrying through. So, I mean, what that means for our solid waste crew is that they have to sort all that stuff on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably products, like you say, the refrigerators and freezers that we get charged for to reclaim the refrigerant in there
Mm-hmm.
that we're not recovering. So that means, that's an
That's a
issue.
net loss.
That's a loss for us as well. And then, you know, we have folks that have unpaid assessments. Not to any fault of their own, it's just something that happened. We've discussed at length how that happened and the safeguards that are now in place to prevent that from happening in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, if we don't close our walk-ins, how do we recover those past assessments? There's really no incentive for anybody to pay their assessment, right? And that is the $251,000 that is included in this year's budget
Mm-hmm.
for us to try to recover that money. So we really hope that people do the right thing. They've received the service.
Yeah.
They just need to pay their assessment. And I know that you've made an opportunity for them, if they can't pay it all at once, that they can make some quarterly payments as long as it's paid off in 2026, is that May or 2026, something like that?
25.
Or 25, I'm sorry.
Yep.
So there are some options out there, and we totally understand that there's a lot of our residents that are on fixed incomes and that nature, so we're willing to work with them. And I think if it became extreme hardship, we would take a look at that on a case-by-case basis as well. The other thing that this really, we have $33,637 of unpaid bills out there. People that have taken stuff up to the Indian Creek's transfer station, a majority of it, contractors, residents both, have disposed of stuff. We've been kind enough to bill them, and they're not paying their bill.
Correct.
$33,000, that's a lot of money for the solid waste department. So people, pay your damn bill. That's all I gotta say there. So the question becomes, how do we balance convenience and service? You know, our walk-in cans, it's a convenience. I just became a brand new commissioner when all this was going on, and that was a concession we made with our folks. Said, if you will use a walk-in cans properly, we will have that ability for you to have access to the sites for 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's not the majority of our residents. It's a small majority of our residents or people from outside of our district that abuse it, and we have no way of controlling it. And so, how do we find that balance? You know, I think of convenience. Here's an example. You go to the convenience store, you know you're going to pay more for what you purchase, but it saves us time. It's a convenience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my thought along that lines is, are we willing to pay more for that service? And as we continue our discussions on what the solid waste assessment will be, maybe in the future, that might be part of that discussion. We can provide more hours of operation, which we can totally do.
If
but-
I can staff it.
But that's where I'm going with that. We have to understand that it costs more to staff the facility. And so is it acceptable for those that are using the system correctly to subsidize those who are not using this? I struggle with that. I think that's not fair. The other thing about our staff is that we're having a hard time staffing our facilities right now. We put ads in the paper, and it takes a while for people to respond. And let's face it, these are not glamorous jobs. They're not high-paying jobs. They don't have benefits. So it's a unique individual that takes this on. Most of the time, it's someone that's retired, looking for some extra money. even people that are working full-time jobs. We've had some of those apply that are looking for make some extra money in the weekends and things, and we appreciate them, folks, we really do. But they're just not standing at the door lined up for these positions. I guess my closing comment is this, and we hear a lot of comments out there in social media and different things. Provide the Solid Waste Advisory Board and the commissioners with a workable solution that's fair to all users of the system. Provide us with that solution. I've listed off our challenges. Help us find a solution. And help us balance out the convenience and the service. That's my comment. I mean, there's a lot more to talk about. I mean, which will be probably talked about in other meetings as to what type of system we want to have. There's going to be a modified assessment pay-as-you-throw, straight pay-as-you-throw. Those discussions are to come, but help us find that workable solution. That's all I got to say.
It's kind of funny. I was going through some stuff this morning and I found a 2004 Broadwater County solid waste plan. So this is back when they were open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It stated in there, we will leave these sites open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as long as you do not abuse the site. 20 years ago, this was a problem. And I know it was a problem before that. So the problem's not going away. What happened then? They closed the sites down, kind of controlled the sites, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And they made it to where they could, kind of access it. But this is an ongoing problem. I don't know that we're going to fix it no matter what direction we go. But the best solution that we can come up with, we're going to try to run with it.
Yeah.
Those last pictures you just saw, Commissioner Folkford, you did not see them. I didn't bring my phone up. We're this morning at 5:02 this morning. They did a really nice job of lining it out. It wasn't scattered all over. I will say that.
Was that
At which site?
That was Dry Gulch.
the tires and the...
That was the
Windows
bed,
and-
the chair,
Oh,
the
yeah, okay.
smoker, the tires, and there was some sort of a little Briggs & Stratton motor sitting there.
Right.
They got half the bed inside and half the bed outside.
Okay.
So yeah.
I mean, so then our staff has to take time off from their regular job.
Yep.
To go clean that up. Another expense.
A waste of taxpayers' dollars, the way I see it.
Yeah. All right. I'm done yakking. What do you guys got?
You covered a lot. I just had two thoughts I wanted to add. As we're looking at this, and you talked about hours and days and whatnot, possibilities for that, is there a way we can kind of track? And I know it's an ask. I don't know how it would be done. It's just a thought. But just our busiest times that might help us change those hours or adapt those hours to when people need to be there.
So you're asking for like a tally sheet?
Yeah,
Put
a
your
tally
hours
sheet,
down.
something
This
simple
I
that
got
just,
this many cars.
because I know like if a dump site is open from 2 to 6, maybe there's nobody there at 2 or 3, but maybe there's a lot of people there from 4 to 6, so maybe it's worth 4 to 7. That's all I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
way to
I
track
could
that.
see where that would be beneficial at Cedar Street and possibly Winston. As you guys know, we kind of changed the hours up there to kind of fit their mold a little better during the summer months. Yeah, we could do something like that and kind of track where we're at.
It's just a thought, and I know it's also challenged by summer hours, winter hours, darkness. That all makes a difference.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
really
just
like
because
that.
we don't have any lights and stuff up
Yeah.
there at our outreach sites.
And my other thought I wanted to add is just I think we keep hearing a lot of people not threatening necessarily, but saying, you know, hey, people are going to dump in the ditches. You're just going to get trash everywhere. And you know what? There's probably going to be some people that will do that. I'm sure there will be a few, but I just wanted to add that I think there is some pride in your community and in where you live, and I would hope that most people would have a sense of just honesty and just do what you need to do. I mean, it's I've lived in other places. You dump during the hours that are there, and you just plan for it. It just is what it is. So, but you don't dump your stuff in the ditches and the streets. You're affecting everybody. So, not a good way to be a decent neighbor or a good resident at all.
You know, our hours are very comparable to the other counties around us.
Mm-hmm.
Much larger counties, larger volume of people. But we're willing to make concessions to kind of change it up a little bit to fit people, because as you guys know, most people don't work here. They work away from here, so when they get off work, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, we're closed. And maybe they don't want to do this on the weekends, you know, haul their garbage. I know that's last on my list on the weekends. But.
You know, I was thinking of a comment that we had some discussion with other people around the state and how they operate their solid waste departments, and we told them how ours are. But we have our facilities, and we have 4 outlying sites, and they said, "Man, you guys have the Cadillac system," and they're right, we do. So I mean, the point I'm making there is, are we headed towards a single collection site, like most all the other counties are run? There is one single collection site in the county, and that's where you're going to take your trash to.
I can see that in the future.
I mean,
I can see us
I'm
going that
throwing that
direction.
out there for everybody to consider as an option. I don't know, but anyway. Commissioner Randolph.
I just want to share a conversation I had yesterday with a resident. And I know, TJ, I've asked you many times in these meetings to explain enterprise fund. And I still think there's a lot of misunderstanding, or people don't. We're so close to it, we get it. And she and I talked, and this was the conversation I had, and it might be helpful to the public who's not as close to this daily operations. If your salary doesn't change, your hourly doesn't change, you work 40 hours a week, whatever, your paycheck is the same. Compare that to the assessments. So your assessment for garbage hasn't changed for several years.
5.
But is it 5 years? But the expenses in your home have gone up. Your groceries, your gas, your television, everything. You've got to make concessions. You've got to somehow cut out the cable bill or whatever. So compare that to solid waste. Gas prices have gone up. Labor's gone up. But the income, the 185, has stayed the same. Now we do have some fees for refrigerators and everything.
We do.
So, but it's not a huge amount, that income. So when she and I talked about it like that, I literally could see a light bulb go off. Oh, if the income's the same in her household, same with solid waste, but her expenses are more, something's got to go.
That's a great analogy. Thank you for that.
It worked, because I think we get so close to it. We understand, we use the terminology.
Yeah.
It made sense to her. So I'm hoping maybe for others that will make sense, because it made sense to me.
I mean, so at the end of this year, we have the option of changing or staying with our current landfill. And that might be one of the options that we look at, is reducing the cost of our tipping fees.
Right.
I do know there's options out there that are cheaper. When we get to that point, I need to be working on it right now, but I've been a little busy with some other stuff. So we need to sit down and have that discussion. Where else can we make savings, right? And that might be one of them.
But just like a household, my cable bill just went up.
Get rid of
it. And I can't control that, so I got to figure out something else to cut or cancel cable. Anyhow.
It's something I want to add to that too. So along with the enterprise fund, maybe what folks don't understand too is solid waste department does not receive any general fund revenue.
Thank you.
It is strictly funded by the solid waste assessment fee that everybody pays. So it's run just like a business.
100% is run like a business, and that was one of the things when our CAO come on board that I believe a lot of people, like you said, did not understand. If my number comes up at this, that's how much income I need to cover this with.
Mm-hmm.
So if that doesn't happen, your fees are going up because, like you said, I don't get any of that general fund. Even though they pay their assessment, it is still not a tax.
That's right.
Thank you. Yeah, that is part of the story. I chatted with her, and I forgot to say that today.
Yeah.
We can't take money from general fund or PILT or anything else.
I wish I could.
I know when you've asked.
And I'll probably continue to ask until you
Right.
say just get it
Right.
through your head.
Right. Couple other things I wrote down is Commissioner Folkford and you were talking. If people are irresponsible enough to dump garbage alongside the road, wherever, is your staff going to pick it up?
If it's alongside the road, state of Montana will.
That's
I don't think the state of Montana has any more time than we do.
right. So it just kind of gets back to that pride thing, and I understand. TJ and I talked this morning early, closing the sites. I will feel more comfortable with that if there are some hours given to the sites.
During the work week, you mean? Is that what you're asking?
However your department can make it work, and I understand that's more man hours, but trying to give the residents a little more service.
Right.
So for the people that want to do the right thing, they work till 5 o'clock in Helena or whatever their situation is. And we're still a rural community. So a lot of these people, I live in town, so it's easy for me to just put it in the garbage can in my alley. They may not be able to get there till Saturday or Sunday. So, and you mentioned that, TJ, and I guess I would like more concrete, if you would, hours.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. We talked about some of the savings that we
Right.
were hoping to receive by
Right.
closing the sites. I would like to see that savings used to expand our hours that we were open to kind of help our residents the best that we can. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm a great user of the walk-in site.
So
I mean, I come to town, whether I'm shopping or come to work, whatever it is, I'll bring my trash, I'll take it down to Cedar Street most of the time. I love that option, or toss in Raidersburg, but I see the downside of it as well.
One of the things I was actually witness to this morning, which was, and I don't know if it was coincidence because I was sitting there or what, I was actually having a conversation with my foreman from the solid waste department, and this was probably around 6 probably. I do see a lot of traffic between 5 and 7 o'clock in the morning just because of the commuters. But the people that came through the site while we were standing there talking were very pleasant, and they do the right thing, or did the right thing. Coincidence? I don't know. I would like to say not a coincidence. I think they're probably the good people. But I don't want to... Yeah, we'll figure something out on that because I don't want to punish the people that are
Right.
really doing the right thing.
That's how it's looked at. So at this point, I don't know, what's your guys' thought? Do we want to have something more concrete or do you want to proceed?
I'd like to have something more concrete on hours.
Okay.
And
So,
again, and I know that the staffing time is an issue. Adding days takes more, but maybe there's some shifting that could be done, so you could make up, the difference, move things later. I don't know, but I would personally like to see that before we make a final decision on it.
I would also, when TJ and I were talking earlier this morning, threw out the idea, and we both, literally, I thought it as we were talking, so it's not a well-developed thought yet, but maybe keep Cedar Street walk-in open. Maybe keep a walk-in open for a few hours. Just trying to be creative and provide service for the people like Commissioner Folkford who do it correctly.
That's right.
So,
I don't want to lose the privilege.
again, not a
but-
developed thought, just throwing.
One thing to remember, though, is my whole basis behind this is if I can't control a site, I can't control what you're dumping.
Right.
Right.
If we leave a site, walk-in site open, that lets everybody come.
Yeah,
That has
there's
not
no doubt.
paid the back $33,000.
Yeah, I know. Just,
Yeah. I just think we got to figure out the hours and where our traffic is and what times. I mean,
Yeah, I think expanded
just-
hours could be very helpful.
might just be creative.
I would
Yeah.
feel better moving
Yeah.
forward with
Okay. So let's work on that.
Okay.
Let's work on getting the hours established and then bring this before us again.
Okay.
Okay? You
Sounds
guys good
good.
with that?
Misty, you have something?
I don't know.
Misty Mazzolo, Assistant Public Works Director. I just want to make a comment to the public on our growing pains that we're having. We're all frustrated just as a public. Be polite to our attendants. They're not the people that make the decisions. Writing inappropriate comments on the disposal forms, calling our office and leaving horrible messages. We're people too, and we're all trying to do the best that we can for the public, and we would just like to remind kindness goes a long way.
It does.
I-
That kind of goes along with our staffing issue, right? We have a hard time
Yeah,
staffing anyway.
yeah.
We don't need to run them off.
And if I could, Chairman, adding to that, Misty, thank you, because adding to that, if you want information, call, email, TJ, Misty, any of us, call, email, get the direct. Social media may not always be correct, folks. And I know, the things that I've read, I've quit looking this week. We are happy. We've all received emails this week. I'm happy to answer an email or receive an email, but just reach out to us for the information.
Yeah, and our office is always open. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Monday is 8 to 3, but either TJ or myself are in there, and we're happy to answer any questions. So please come in and ask.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Great discussion. Thank you, everybody. Alrighty. Next, discussion decision, cooperative law enforcement annual operating plan and financial plan between Broadwater County and the USDA Forest Service. Sheriff Nick Rouser.
Sheriff Nick Rouser. I guess I still baffled dealing with the federal government sometimes. We signed a 5-year contract last year, but then you got to sign a yearly contract within the 5 years. Doesn't really make sense to me, but once again, it's the federal government, so don't really know why we have to sign it, but apparently we do.
Okay.
Sign it again, I guess. I mean,
Sign it again. I think, Kay, you've had an opportunity to look over this.
That's correct, Chairman Fulford. There were no issues with that document.
Okay. I have no concerns. Anybody else?
I just had a question. Nick, on page 3, this is for $3,500, correct? Total. But then it says dispatch shall not exceed $1,500, and then it says $3,500. Again, typical federal.
Yeah, it's something to do with some of the money can be used for dispatch services, but not all of it can be used So that's kind of what that is.
So are they trying to say that up to $1,500 out of the $3,500?
If we want, I think
Okay.
is what that means.
It was just,
And then the rest is usually, it builds up sometimes if we don't use it all. Forest Service patrols, we use it for that, so it's not coming out of our budget to pay people to patrol the Forest Service. And then we use it for equipment sometimes.
yeah.
You know, we've bought binoculars, because it's things like that, so.
All right, good. Anything else? Lindsay, you have anything?
No?
I will say something good about this. So many of these contracts have the current, or who they think is the current chairperson.
Yes.
Like, they'll have my name still from last year. I do like that it says current chair.
They had,
That's the
I think
first
they
time
had
very
Daryl's name,
excited.
and then we had to change it, and I said, well, you just put the current chair on there, so we don't
Yeah.
have to every year
I wish
figure out,
everybody did
change
that.
names.
Yeah.
so many times.
Good
It's-
move.
So,
Thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah.
the next one they send us will probably have somebody else's name.
Yeah. And then they have to redo it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a motion?
I move to approve the Cooperative Law Enforcement Annual Operating Plan and Financial Plan between the County of Broadwater and the USDA Forest Service. Helena Lewis and Clark National Forest.
I will second that.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the Cooperative Law Enforcement Annual Operating Plan, Financial Plan between Broadwater County and the USDA Forest Service. Any public discussion? Any public discussion? Any public discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. There you go, sir. All right, good. You want to just take it, Nick, and to pass it on to whoever it goes
I do
to?
that and then get you,
And
I'll
ex-
email you guys and then you just sign the copy.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nick.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okey doke, moving on. Discussion decision, Broadwater County updated airport lease agreement. All right. Seemed like this has been before us a few times. Sorry about that, but as things come along, we do need to make those changes, and thank you to Kay for helping us draft the right language. So what was, this was a discussion that was held at the airport board meeting, and the problem that they were having was when somebody new wants to lease a hangar space, the process is very clear. How they lease it, the types of buildings they can build, and things of that nature. There was never a process for when somebody sold a hangar, how the county was informed. And so it created some issues. A hangar would be sold, and all of a sudden there'd be a new owner that had never seen the lease, didn't even know if they were going to have an approved lease. So this was a way to prevent that from happening, and along the way provide a little bit of education for the new owner as to what is expected of them as a leaseholder at the airport. So as I stated, Kay helped us draft some great language. The board approved it, and just for everybody's reference, the lease agreement, the changes were made in 13.2, and I'll just read it. 13.2.3, leasee entering into a buy-sell agreement or similar contract for sale of the lot number or hangar number to a third party. Prior to the closing of the sale, leasee shall inform leaseor, that is the county, of the potential sale and obtain written permission with the leaseor pursuant to section 15 of this lease. The new owner shall execute a new lease with the leaseor. The other change was made in section 15. Any potential new owner of property within the premises shall execute a new hangar lease with the leaseor prior to taking possession of lot number such and such or hangar. Failure to act in accordance with this section shall constitute a material breach of this lease. So that was what was changed, and I think it's a great change, and hopefully will provide clarity in the future. Thoughts or comments?
I didn't have any questions.
Okay, we're going the right direction, huh?
Chairman Fulford, this was actually a very well-drafted lease agreement that you provided me with, and some other very smart attorneys created it. I was just honored to be able to add in a little bit of nuanced language, so nothing further from the county attorney's department at this time.
Okay. Lindsay?
No?
Nothing?
Looks good. Yeah.
Okay, enough. Is there a motion?
I would move to approve the Broadwater County Airport hangar lease agreement.
I will second that.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the Broadwater County airport hangar lease agreement. Is there any public discussion? Any public discussion? Any public discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okey doke. Another airport item. Discussion decision.
You guys are
Notice-
kind of attention hogs.
No, I know.
You
This
know?
this project is a big project, and of course, when you are receiving funding from the federal government and the state of Montana, it's just a process that has to take place, and there's a lot of paperwork involved, right? So, notice of award, Broadwater County Airport Improvement Project, Bullock Contracting LLC, Engineering Task Order Number 8, amend record of engineering selection and contract negotiations. So what happened was the airport project was originally bid with additive alternatives number 1 and number 2. Number 1 alternative was to add the extra taxi lanes for hangar space. Additive alternative number 2 was to add some additional ramp parking space. The FAA, I think, honestly started to run out of funds. They felt that the added parking ramp area maybe not be needed at this point, so they asked to have that taken out of that original bid award. So that's what this is. This is just correcting that, and so that the paperwork is correct. Does that make sense to everybody? So really what it does is it reduces the overall amount of the bid. And so for the contractor to move forward, he needs to have that information. Now, that's not to say that there is an opportunity down the road, if there is some additional funding coming through the FAA, that we may be able to add that, but that'll be a whole separate process, separate from this. So anyway, I was up at the airport yesterday, and there's 2 ag operators and 3 airplanes working, and some airplanes tied down on the ramp. I got to tell you, it was busy. And
That's awesome.
if EMS would have come in, that'd have been full. They may not have had a place to park. So we'll keep trying to suggest to the FAA that we do need that extra space, and we'll see if we're successful or not. All right, is there a motion?
This one's a mouthful.
Yeah, well, no.
All right. I move to approve the notice of award, Broadwater County Airport Improvement Project, Bullock Contracting LLC Engineering, Task Order Number 8, amended. Record of engineering selection and contract negotiations.
I will second that.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the notice of award, Broadwater County Airport Improvement Project, Bullock Contracting LLC, Engineering Task Order Number 8, amended record of engineering selection and contract negotiations. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we might make it down to the wire.
I know, I forgot.
Everybody knows
you
I
were-
have another meeting at 11
Yes.
o'clock, so here we go.
I forgot about that.
I think all we have left are claims. Claims in the amount of $57,184.11.
I would move to approve the claims amount of $57,184.11.
I will second that.
Motion is made and seconded to approve claims in the amount of $57,184.11. Any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Andy's pile. Excuse me. Claims in the amount of $6,979.76.
I move to approve claims for $6,979.76.
I'll second that.
Motion is made and seconded to approve claims in the amount of $6,979.76. Any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, claims in the amount of $36,564.13.
I'll move to approve the claims in the amount of $36,564.13.
I'll second that.
Motion is made and seconded to approve claims in the amount of $36,564.13. Any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Last claim is a payroll claim for $266,441.71.
Move to approve claims for $266,441.71.
I'll second that.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the payroll claim in the amount of $266,441.71. Excuse me. Any public discussion? Any public discussion? Any public discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, anything else come before the board?
I don't have anything.
All righty, we are adjourned.